your shot of the morning. These pint-sized former mayors from Minnesota took over the studio.
Yep, Robert and James Tuft, 7 and 4, served as their town leaders at the age of 3. So they're veterans now.
Man, you grilled them. It was like a Hillary press conference. They had some valuable political advice for all of us, though. Watch.
Now, what is your advice? Give us some political advice.
Well, look people in the eye, shake hands, and no poopy talk.
Right.
That's a good one. No poopy talk. Have you learned that from your brother as mayor? No poopy talk?
Newt Gingrich was jotting down notes because he's always looking to learn. Joining us now is former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Newt, is that good, solid advice this morning?
That may have been the most mature statement we've gotten out of a candidate this year.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great.
It's good to see you again. How would you rate this week for Donald Trump with one of the biggest days, that Saturday, at an African-American church in Detroit, still straight ahead?
Well, look, I think he's showing that he is daring, he's aggressive, he's going to be Donald Trump, and people have to decide whether or not that's the future they want for the country. He was very successful, I think, in immediately taking up the President of Mexico's offer, going down there, doing an event where he looked very presidential. His speech is sort of, that night was pure Trumpism, but it clearly drove the elite media crazy. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens in Detroit. I mean, I think what he has decided is that he is going to be very blunt, very direct, and people have to decide whether that's a future they want. And I think he's gambling. He has thoughtfully decided to gamble on people being sick of corruption and sick of dishonesty and sick of poopy talk, if you will.
Right.
And I think that he's trying to give you something much more genuine and much more authentic.
So you just described the press as the elite media. I thought the purpose of the media were to afflict the comfortable. When did they swing in lockstep with the hedge fund managers and the politicians? When did they take the side of the people they're supposed to be covering skeptically? When did that happen?
Well, I think Charlie Murray's book, Coming Apart, tells the story brilliantly. We moved into a class system where the people who go to Harvard, Yale, and Princeton marry the people who go to Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. Most of the elite media is part of that. They have no real relationship anymore with about 70 to 80% of the country.
Yes.
How can you go through a cycle where there are over 3,600 dead in Chicago, more killed last month in Chicago, more Americans killed in Chicago last month than any time in the last 20 years, and the elite media is just utterly, totally indifferent to it. It has no notion that this involves real human beings because they don't go to their cocktail parties, they don't go to their prep schools, they're not part of their world, they don't vacation where the elite media does. And so you have this enormous growing gap, which, by the way, will be the biggest single challenge in the debate. I mean, Trump's got to debate both Hillary and the moderators simultaneously.
What she just said is the truest thing I've heard today. I live in that world, and you're exactly right. That's exactly what's happening.
Now, Newt, if you read Politico this morning, it says that Bill Clinton aides used taxpayer money to buy IT equipment, including servers, for the Clinton Foundation.
Actually, I prefer the line where they use taxpayer money to get rid of bed bugs. Look,
Nice.
One of the things, Cliff and I just had 2 weeks where we frankly got away, thought about it, looked back from a distance. And one of the things that really struck me that makes this so hard is Bill and Hillary are the only way to describe them is they're grifters. These are people that show up in movies who lie to everybody, steal from everybody. And if you think of them as grifters, you sort of get it. Here was a pot of money. Why not take it? Oh, it happens to be illegal. Well, nobody will notice. If they do notice, that's why we have lawyers. We'll simply lie about it. So here you have day after day after day. In a normal, healthy society, they would both be ostracized for being such totally unpatriotic scammers who go around using public trust and using public money and then lying about it pathetically. And instead, we all just get numb to it. It's an astonishing thing to live through.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, too, because while she's doing this, it's hire Sidney Blumenthal, even though I was told not to. Don't commingle the foundation with your State Department. Well, I'm doing it anyway, even though I was told not to. And then put some of my sycophants at the foundation. And now we have the interchange and interlocking in communication between staffs at both the State Department as well as the foundation. And you know, in the real world, who would be ticked off? The person that hired him, Barack Obama. That's not what he hired her to do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but look what we just learned in the last 2 days about Barack Obama and the Iranian deal, where it turns out there was a secret agreement to allow the Iranians to do whatever they wanted to. Well, nobody would tell you about it unless the Iranians agreed to tell you about it. I mean, Obama has lied for his entire presidency about everything from Obamacare to the Iranian deal. Why would he notice Bill and Hillary lying? You cannot be a modern liberal and tell the truth, as you just saw a few minutes ago in the vice presidential nominee, who can't even tell the truth about Hillary's failure to hold press conferences. I mean, they have a belief that if they look in the camera, they seem sincere, and they lie consistently, that the lies will eventually seem true.
So tomorrow, Trump is going to Detroit. He's going to talk in a black church. Most people don't think he has any shot of winning over 8%, 10% of the African-American vote. Do you think that's true? And why is he doing this?
Well, look, first of all, let me go back to Chicago, which is a devastating example. Over 3,600 Americans have been killed in Chicago, and liberals whose policies have led to this have done nothing. Detroit, the city collapsed. Large parts of the city are uninhabited. The school system is a disaster. People have no jobs, they have no hope, they have no future. All of this under Democrats. To have a Republican, and this is where I have to say I admire Trump. I have the places he and I disagree deeply, but I admire him having the courage, first of all, to remind people about Lincoln. Second, to remind people that all those segregationist senators were Democrats. All those segregationist sheriffs were Democrats. The fact is the Democrats have totally mismanaged our biggest cities. You look at Baltimore, you look at Detroit, you look now at the south side of Chicago, you look at Milwaukee, the sixth poorest city in America. And for Trump to have the courage to go into those environments, he's going to be attacked, he's going to get beaten up. But I think if he is prepared to endure it, that by October you might see him in the 20–25% range in the black community, and it is impossible for a Democrat to win if they're driven below 80% of the black vote.
That's for sure. He'll win big if he gets that number. Thanks a lot, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Good with you.